Hi everyone. Ian in New York has sent me a question on this month's topic of failure. He said that he recently took on a 30-day challenge, sober challenge, and he got to 10 days before he started really wanting to have a drink. And he convinced himself, the way that his mind was working, was that he was going to end up drinking again after the 30 days anyway, so why not give in and start drinking now? It wasn't really going to make any difference. So he managed to do 10 days, but he didn't succeed with the 30 days. And he asks me, is it possible that you need to practice quitting before you actually quit for good? And there's two things I want to say to this, Ian. First of all, a massive well done on achieving your 10 days sober. That is a massive achievement, whether you carried on to do the 30 days or whether you didn't. And it shows that you can do it. And the second part to the answer is yes. Some people find that they need to practice quitting before they quit for good. If we think back to the toddler metaphor, where you've got a baby learning to walk for the first time, it needs to pull itself up, it needs to find its balance, it might take 1 or 2 steps before it falls over, it gets back up again, it takes another couple of steps, it falls over again, it might even hurt itself, it might even cry, but it has to practice and practice and practice before it can confidently walk towards its parent or carer. And it's exactly the same when we stop drinking. If we've developed an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, then the unconscious part of our mind has kind of become trained in this unhealthy habit of drinking. And that's all it knows. So when we consciously decide to stop drinking, we need to kind of retrain that unconscious part of our minds so that the not drinking becomes as automatic as the drinking used to be. And to do that training, we need to practice, just like the toddler needs to practice learning to walk, or an adult needs to practice learning a new instrument, or learning a new language, or learning a new sport, or learning to dance. You're learning a new skill. You're learning the skill of living life sober without the alcohol that you've become so used to. And it takes a lot of practice. So for myself, I think I practiced about 6 times before I actually stopped drinking for good. And I tried various things. In fact, one of the times I practiced, I stopped for about a year before I ended up back on the booze again. And I've also given up for days, for weeks, and even for months at a time before I've ended up going back to drinking again. And all of those bits of practice helped me build up the skill, the knowledge, the resilience, the self-awareness, and the knowledge of the triggers and the challenging situations I might face. And with all of that knowledge, understanding, and experience in practicing quitting has enabled me to quit really well in the end. So it's all part of a learning journey. And I love the fact, Ian, that you've used the word practice, because instead of thinking of it as failure, when we stay sober, we decide to get sober, and then we stop and we go back to drinking again, we can actually see it as practice. Practice for when we decide that we're actually ready to quit. And you'll know when that is. You'll know when you're ready to quit for good. So 2 key points from today's video. One is that if you've managed to stay sober for several days, however long it might be, before you've gone back to drinking again, that's a success. That's proving to yourself that you can do it. You've done it before, so you can do it again. And point number 2 is that it's practice. Rather than seeing it as failure, seeing it as practice is a much healthier way to look at it. And sometimes it might take us 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times of practicing quitting before we actually get sober for good. Now, I've got a few other questions and comments about failing to stay sober, which I want to address in next week's video. So if you have a question that relates to your own experience of stopping drinking, practicing stopping, or feeling like you're a failure for not being able to stay stopped, then do let me know. You can let me know in the comments section below, or you can send me an email, admin@gogetsober.com. Next week, I'll be answering more of your questions and comments on failure, and I'll look forward to catching up with you then. For more tips, guidance, inspiration, and motivation to stop drinking and stay happily and healthily sober, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll catch up with you very soon. Bye.